Again, Risen Path Consulting is my business. Feel free to check out my website. You can also find me on LinkedIn if you'd like to connect. So what we're going to do is fairly simple. Discover maybe some new ways, new ideas to onboard new employees when they're working remotely or in a different location, even if they're just working down the street and working from home. There's certain things we can do to improve the experience. And then identify the potential blind spots along the way. So we know Brian is an expert in blind spots, and there's blind spots in just about any topic. And we have identified some that could be through onboarding as well that you might experience. Okay, so let's move on to idea number 2. And now this is something that's been around for a while, but what can we do differently? How can we beef it up? And that is the mentor and buddy program. And I recommend doing this at all levels, executive level, a manager level, individual contributor level. It's so important that somebody has somebody to go to with what they might think is a dumb question or a silly question. They just need that person that they can have comfort and rely on. Often called an accountability buddy or accountability partner as well. So, just make sure that when you have the mentor or the buddy or the accountability partner, that they know what the expectations are, they know what their role is. Sometimes there's like a little mini job description, role description that will explain what it means to be a mentor to a new employee. And again, at all levels. So everybody's nervous to start a new role, no matter what level you are. There's some anxiety, and you're walking into a new building, you're accessing, brand new site, so it's having somebody there to kind of help you navigate and make that a comfortable transition and all that. So make sure it's also someone who's also somewhat new, maybe 6 months to a year new. They can still remember what it felt like to be new, and they can reflect on that and share their experience and say, oh yeah, I remember here, this is the stumbling block I discovered. I want to make sure you don't have that. So here's what I did. And then just help them just navigate the culture and who's who. Now, this can also be damaging. So you just want to make sure you have the right person selected. If you have somebody who's kind of your Debbie Downer or misery loves company, that could really impact your new employee's experience. So you just want to make sure somebody who's engaged in the company, just really loves to mentor and help others along. So that's my recommendation for mentor and buddy, and just have those regular check-ins. If you can do face-to-face video, that's great. You can see some of the facial expressions. When somebody says, how's it going so far? And, the response is, oh, great. And you get an eye roll. Well, you're not going to see that if you're over the phone. So it's helpful to have some of the time be on video and some of the time be on the phone. So you can really read those nonverbal cues and all that. Any blind spots that we can think of for this one, Brian?
Yeah, before I go into that, I wanted to let you know, Aaron, that there's been a question asked by Deborah. What suggestions, and I'm going to ask you this question, and then while you think about it, I'll go into the blind spots that I see for this, and it'll give you a little time to think. So what suggestions do you have for a startup company that does not have swag or a budget for gifts? So while you're thinking about that, the blind spots in this second session is with having the incorrect expectations. So, and that could be the incorrect expectation from the employer standpoint, as well as from the mentor standpoint. So, you need to make sure that you're doing everything you can to pick the right mentor, make sure that the mentor knows that he is the mentor, and just understanding that anything he says is going to be a direct reflection on your company. So that expectation means everything. And so that mentor really needs to be designated, and you have to be very intentional.
Awesome.
Now back to that question, Aaron.
Yep. I'm gonna get back to that in a second. I'm gonna finish up our mentor segment here.
Okay.
So I mentioned earlier that it can be damaging, so make sure you select the right person, and Brian alluded to that also. I I had a really, really good experience in one of my most recent companies where I was selected to be a mentor to someone, a new HR manager at a different location, and you know, we just hit it off really quickly. We identified a lot of things in common, and you know, she even said, "You made my experience so much better." So just remembering the impact that a good mentor, a good buddy could have. And to this day, neither one of us are at that company anymore, but we are still really good friends. We still reach out and see each other and chat and all that. So you never know what it could lead to. But again, I just recommend that you are selective when it comes to the mentor buddy. So for the question, when you have a new startup, you don't have swag, you don't have budget, you know, you're putting all your money into the technology or the build up, the startup and all that. One of my favorite things is old school notes, note cards, you know, just have everybody write a note. Everybody in the company, on the team, write a personal handwritten note, or everybody sign a note. I don't know anybody who doesn't enjoy a handwritten note in the mail. So even during the quarantine time, you know, people are stuck at home. I made it a point to send cards to people because I knew I enjoyed that. So I was hoping others would enjoy that too, and they did. They're like, "I'm so glad I got your card." So we just don't see that much, but I think that would be a really good way to welcome someone, is to have a nice handwritten note. You don't have to spend money. You don't have to have swag. Eventually, you probably will, and then you can gift swag to everybody. And I know a lot of people just are low on budgets. But a lot of times just that note and personalization to the family and all that. You know, if you can do if you don't have a huge team, and maybe you can do like a little picnic or a potluck, you know, get everybody together, meet the families, you know, have everybody contribute a side dish. And that's kind of a good way to welcome people as well.
That's a great idea, Aaron, and even Denise here, she agrees with you, and so do I. But I just want to let you know, I never got a card.
You're right. You didn't. I'm sorry.
Okay. Just want to make
I'll
sure you
fix
do
that.
that. Okay. So.
Thanks for calling me out.
Yeah. Right. So Deborah says, glad to hear that. She said that I've done that in the past, and then also made a point to highlight out the new hires during their all hands and spotlight their some fun facts. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. Definitely, yeah, introduce them to everybody. Yes, I agree.